We're going to get into that win that the Atlanta Falcons had over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And where has this Kyle Pitts guy been? We're going to get into that. But before we get started, I want to tell you guys to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and tell a friend, tell a family member, tell whoever to support my channel.
Big as the Super Bowl.
Yes, the Atlanta Falcons actually did something that I never thought that they could actually do. Win a football game. They actually did win a football game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 29-28, and they actually did it in come from behind fashion. And yes, the Atlanta Falcons, they did win a game. Meaningless game, but they played the role of spoiler to perfection, and they ruined Tampa Bay's, I guess you can say, playoff hopes. I don't want to say ruined it, but they kind of dampened it a little bit, made it a little tougher for Tampa Bay to get into the playoffs and win the NFC South. As we all know right now, it's the Carolina Panthers currently have the NFC South lead with a record of 7-6, and Carolina and Tampa Bay play each other twice. And I would imagine that those matchups between those two teams would, in fact, determine the division. But the Falcons won. And the biggest thing that came to my mind watching that game from the Atlanta Falcons standpoint was quite simple. And I said it in the intro. Where has this Kyle Pitts been? Because Kyle Pitts was sensational against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kyle Pitts had 11 catches for 166 yards and 3 touchdowns. Let me repeat that. Kyle Pitts, the guy that many people have deemed to be a bust, had 11 catches for 166 yards and 3 touchdowns. And let's put this into perspective. Kyle Pitts was the first tight end to have that level of production and output in a game of having 10 or more catches and over 150 or more yards and 3 touchdowns since Shannon Sharp in 1996. 29 years ago was the last time we saw an output from a tight end in a football game that Kyle Pitts put forward against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was insane. I gotta give Kyle Pitts credit, man. And it's only one game, but the guy was the unicorn. He looked the part like a guy that, okay, that's the guy that should have been drafted 4th overall. You know, he looked like a unicorn. He looked like a generational talent. And where has this guy been? Not just for this season, but where has this guy been? Because I haven't seen this guy in 4 years. Just running after the catch, making catches, making tough catches, making intermediate catches, occasionally making deep catches. He was just getting open and making plays and making people miss and just looking like a unicorn out there on the football field. And look, man, Kyle Pitts looking like this is going to create some interesting decisions for the Atlanta Falcons moving forward to in the offseason. Do you sign him to a short-term extension? Do you franchise him? Do you trade him? What's going to happen with Kyle Pitts? And I think that's it's going to be an interesting dynamic with what the Atlanta Falcons are going to do with them, because, man, he looked different against Tampa Bay. Very different. Like, Tampa Bay had no answer for him. And he was just making plays all game long. He was really just the Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson show. Bijan Robinson had another big day. Had 19 carries for 92 yards. And he had another 8 catches for 82 yards in the receiving game. And so it was basically just Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson doing heavy damage for the Atlanta Falcons. And for Tampa Bay, I mean, this has got to be a gut punch for Tampa Bay. I mean, they've been struggling. They've lost 6 out of their last 8. They're falling apart. Baker Mayfield isn't playing nearly as well as he did early in the year. The defense has not played well at all. lately, and Tampa Bay's in some trouble. They're in a world of trouble because they're in a dogfight with the Carolina Panthers for the NFC South. And if Tampa Bay doesn't make the playoffs after everyone and their mama picked them to win the NFC South, what's that going to mean for, their head coach? It's something to monitor, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But, look, man, the Atlanta Falcons, give them credit. I've made fun of them. I've slandered them on this YouTube episode for weeks. I've nicknamed them, instead of their slogan being Rise Up, I've nicknamed their slogan being Eat, Sleep, Breathe, Loser. And for one game, they won a game. And also, I want to give credit to Kirk Cousins. It's another guy I want to give credit to, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, contrary to popular belief, since he's been the quarterback after Michael Penix was out for the season, he's been pretty decent. He hasn't been bad. And if you look at the Falcons' losses before this win against Tampa, Kirk Cousins really has not been the problem. And one can make an argument that, like, the receivers from the Falcons the receivers for the Falcons, outside of not named Drake London, who's been injured, but the receivers have kind of let Kirk Cousins down in big spots in these games with drop passes and turnovers and bad routes and all this other stuff. And Kirk Cousins, from a decision-making standpoint, he's putting the ball in the right places. And as he's gotten more comfortable playing games, he's playing well. I mean, he's been looking pretty good, and I think Kirk Cousins, the way he's been playing since he's been the starter in place of Michael Penix, I would make an argument that I think Kirk Cousins has earned himself to being on a roster. Maybe not the Atlanta Falcons roster, but I think Kirk Cousins is going to end up being on somebody's roster, whether it's probably as a backup, but it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up being like a stopgap starter somewhere else. That wouldn't totally shock me. I think Kirk Cousins is showing himself that he has a little more left in the tank as a quarterback. I really do. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up, doing something like what Joe Flacco was doing for the last couple of years with the Cleveland Browns, when the Cleveland Browns were playing a little bit over their heads for like 5 or 6 games or so. Like, that wouldn't surprise me. The one thing that Kirk Cousins is starting to prove to me is, like, if you need him, if a quarterback is injured and he's out for 5 games, Kirk Cousins can win you 3 out of the 5. He can win 3 out of the 5 games if you need your backup quarterback to win games. And so Kirk Cousins, man, like, look, man, I haven't been the biggest Kirk Cousins guy, but he's showing me something a little bit. Like, he's been playing pretty well, and he's been holding the fort, and that has to be committed on some level. So I want to give Kirk Cousins some love on this episode. Like, and also, like, look, man, I don't know what it is about Tampa Bay, but Kirk Cousins owns that team. I mean, 373 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins against Tampa Bay. I mean, oh, man. I mean, you're a Tampa Bay man. I mean, how do you sleep at night knowing that you don't have an answer for Kirk Cousins? I mean, it's pretty remarkable how Kirk Cousins has been able to light up Tampa Bay over the past couple of seasons. Like, it really is remarkable. But, look, man, it was a good game for the Falcons. It doesn't really change my view on how I feel about this coaching staff and front office. I still think all of them need to go. And Raheem Morris, don't get me started on Raheem Morris. Like, I saw what happened after the game when, the Falcons make the game-winning field goal, and he's running up to the camera and he's just smiling and talking junk. I don't know the words they was uttering, but it made me mad. It made me so upset because Raheem Morris, your team is 5-9, and you're out here gonna talk smack on camera for winning a meaningless game after your team's been eliminated from the NFC South That's what you're gonna do, Raheem Morris? See, that right there from Raheem Morris is the stuff that losers are made of. That's why the Atlanta Falcons have been losers. It's because of that stuff right there that Raheem Morris did last night. Out here smiling and talking smack and puffing his chest out in front of the camera. Like, who in the world do you think you are, Raheem? Your team is a limit. You're 5-9 and you puffing your chest out for winning a game that doesn't even matter. It made me sick. That right there made me sick. But aside from that, Falcons won a game. They won. Kirk Cousins, like, give him credit. He played awesome. Kyle Pitts, give him credit. He was outstanding. Bijan Robinson, I thought, played a very good game in the defense. The front seven was able to get after Baker Mayfield a little bit. Jalen Walker had a good game doing his thing. James Pierce, I think that's what is what, 6th straight game with a sack. I mean, he's coming alive. I mean, he's making plays. And so that was a good game out of him. Brandon Dorless, he's been a great addition to the defensive line. He's getting after the quarterback. I think he leads the team in sacks, actually. And so he's been doing this thing. And so you're starting to see this defense, specifically in the front seven, starting to make some plays. Now, the secondary, I think, has some issues. Number 37 was getting picked on for most of the game until the Falcons started doubling, sending him help. And so the secondary to me is having some problems. I thought A.J. Terrell had a really bad game, and the penalties. And this what makes that Falcons win so incredible to me. The Atlanta Falcons won that game despite having 19 penalties. 19 penalties. I mean, and that 19 penalties, you're able to win a game like that. To me, like that, like, you can look at that both ways. You can look at that and say, man, I mean, way to go, Falcons. You're able to overcome some penalties. But you can also look at that and just say, man, as odd and in some ways impressive that was, it kind of tells you that this team still has issues. I mean, you have 19 penalties. That means you're not well coached. We have that many penalties. And it was awful. I mean, the Falcons, 19 penalties was awful. And the Falcons, I mean, they got some lucky breaks. You look at the game, you look at the Darnell Mooney, he caught the ball, he fumbled the ball, and I'm watching that fumble from Darnell Mooney. I'm like, how does Tampa Bay not recover that ball? Because it looked like there was like 3 or 4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers near the ball, and none of them was able to get it. And I would say at Tampa recovered that fumble from Darnell Mooney, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would have won that game. But they didn't get that ball, and the Falcons got the ball, and the Falcons ended up scoring. And so, the Falcons got some breaks. And, look, man, you're going to get breaks along the way. And the Falcons, they got some breaks, and good for them. Good win for them. But it doesn't really change my long-term view on this team. It doesn't change my long-term view that I think Raheem Morris needs to go. Zach Robinson needs to go. The front office needs to go. Everybody needs to go. Maybe except for the defense, the defensive coaching staff. They could stay. But, I mean, if you get a new coach, the chances are they'll probably go. And so it doesn't change my view on that. But, hey, man, it was nice to see the Falcons step up, get a nice little win, do it in comeback fashion. They were down 14-28 in the fourth quarter, and they scored, what was it, 15 unanswered points. And so, hey, man, good for the Falcons. They end up getting the job done. They stepped up, and they won the game. And, hey, that's all I have. And there you go. Way to go, Falcons. You won a game, and hey, good for them. And that's all I have today, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.